first of all, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. It's hard not to talk about a big gig you've got coming up.
Yeah,
So a big smile on the face. First of all, I mean, how did you land that one, and what was the reaction?
basically, it kind of kicked off when we were contacted by some of the guys at Closer, some of the management team, and they had kind of they obviously liked the music and stuff and wanted to come meet us. So they flew from London when there was about six. I think the last time there was a big snow in London early in the year.
Right.
They literally flew in through the snow, landed down here. I think there was snow on the ground down here as well. So it came down to Tipperary, the middle of Tipperary, and down to the farm here, and met us for the day and came back the following day. We were playing a gig in Whelan's, and basically just took us on. That was our first maybe big. That was management is always one of those big things. They then started just like showing the music off between what we've been playlisted to and all the bits, and obviously George liked what he heard, and he had the opening for the support, so he was, kind enough to give us the opportunity, which is like ridiculous. And beyond that, then like with the Dermot and the Bruce support, same story. Like obviously, just ridiculous. Like just it's fairy tale stuff. I mean, we started like 15 months ago or something. So to say that we're here in that kind of time frame is just spectacular. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what goes through your head as a band? I mean, like you said, you've been together 15 months. Just what even goes through your head thinking about walking out on that stage?
I suppose it's gas because someone I was talking to someone, they were asking me, were we nervous coming out? And I think the nerves or the feelings coming out onto the stage, like it's class being able to do it. Like the three of us are best friends from college, kind of a thing, and we're doing engineering together. So having, the three of us together to kind of share in the terror that is 30-odd thousand people staring up at you, waiting for you to do something cool, is nice, I guess. Yeah. It kind of takes, like, you kind of sharing in the joy and sharing in the nerves and all the ups and downs, which is brilliant. Like we often talk about solo artists, how difficult it must be to kind of bear the weight of so much on one set of shoulders. So, like, we're obviously nervous, halfway to the most excited we'll ever be in our lives. But yeah, it's good crack.
I mean, just touch on what you said then. I mean, going back, you like you said, you guys met at college, obviously best friends. When you started the band out, what were your ambitions? Because like you said, this is fairy tale stuff for you.
I suppose at the start, when we started it all, like I remember our first ambition was like, Hermitage Green, they're a very well known band in Limerick where we kind of started. So we were like, let's try and get to know them and like support them within the first 6 months, and that happened within the first 6 hours, I think.
Right.
Because first released the song, they kind of all of a sudden went, yeah. I think Barry from Hermitage Green was one of the first to reach out to us, be like, yeah, come on, support us. And that was just, I couldn't really fathom it at the time. It was like, holy crap. So it was like then trying to move and rejig the ambition, and then the next ambition just got blown out of the water again, and then rejig it again. And it's all been happening so fast. We're kind of keep like rehashing the ambitions and stuff. But I suppose we were talking about it last night, is actually, funnily enough, and it's like there's a fine balance between like wanting to achieve more and also enjoying what you're currently doing, because it's like if you just keep going to these things and being like, this isn't enough, I want more, it kind of that tends to go badly. So it's like trying to do both and get that balance, and I think we've been fairly successful in it. I mean, some of the recent gigs, they are obviously the ambitions. Playing Marley Park is beyond any ambition I think we ever had, and to do that was so. Yeah, I mean, at this stage, God, I don't actually know. Again, probably have to have a rethink of what the current ambitions are. I think we've always said we'd love to do Red Rocks because it was such a nice venue, so iconic. It's been really cool to do. So that I mean, maybe a long-term one is Red Rocks, and we'll work towards that. But just enjoying each kind of milestone that we hit now is what we're currently at.
We might have a visitor, but so. To be fair, you've set, in terms of ambitions, like you said, I'm going to keep redrawing them. You've set the bar quite high now with obviously Bruce Springsteen and George Ezra, Dermot Kennedy. you're obviously setting yourself up some lofty ambitions. What are your kind of immediate plans after these gigs? And because obviously the single's out, what else have you got coming up?
We've a heap of stuff planned. We're kind of staring down the barrel of an EP later in the year, and probably, a bit of our own tour to accompany that. So we'll see. We'll get through the summer, get that behind us, and then we can move towards that. But yeah, in the short to medium, it's probably an EP and a tour, and then from there, like into next year, yeah, we'll probably be gearing up for an album at some point. But again, like as was said to us, you only get to release your debut album once, so we really are trying to get it right and kind of build a body of work that we're really, really proud of to put out. So yeah, lots to do.
Okay, right. Well, what I wanted to do, like I said, obviously you're a new band to a lot of our readers. We just wanted to go right back to the start. I mean, kind of what music were you listening to, kind of growing up? What were your kind of influences?
There's
varies band, yeah.
Sorry?
I suppose it varies massively throughout the band. I think I probably grew up on like the Coronas and maybe more recently Dermot Kennedy.
Right.
Eddie was probably, if you want to take it.
I actually remember some of the first CDs I bought. That definitely had a big impact, like say subconsciously or whatever. My father bought Sam's Town. He had a Toyota Avensis, one of a 2001 car, the greatest car that was ever produced by humankind. And he played Sam's Town, that album, back to front, I'd say 1,000 times. So I mean, I heard that enough that it's in my bones. Other than that, I actually listened to, when I was younger, a lot of Manchester Orchestra. A lot of their stuff. Simple Math was a good album. I think it was the first CD I ever bought was Simple Math. Foster the People was another one. And then kind of moving, as you said, when we're kind of come through college and stuff, it was a lot more. Ben Howard would have been a big one. Dermot would have been a big one. Mumford, obviously, if you have a banjo, you're going to start drawing connotations there between. But yeah, like the list is endless. I would say kind of those three big ones. Bruce even as well, U2, Fender. They were kind of listening to a lot of these coming through. So
Magoo's influences then are complete left field altogether from the two of us.
Well, yeah, I would say I would listen to a lot of those people too, like, but I grew up heavily in Irish music, so a lot of my influence comes directly from live Irish music sessions in pubs and things, It's been a creative experience incorporating that into the songs now. I'll meet old friends, old musicians.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, and they'd often be able to pick out bits like.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, Irish music's obviously must have been a big part of your life growing up. Then is that something that's kind of seeped into the sound? Is that something intentionally you want to kind of capture that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think each three of us, like, all do incorporate that. I know I play the most of it, but there's an Irish element from all our influences,
Yeah,
I mean, have you got an idea for kind of how you want the sound to go? Because like you said, you've obviously brought the kind of Irish influence into the music. Have you got a vision for where you see it going? And are the singles a good indication of where it's going?
Yeah, again, like everything is kind of a constant battle. Like obviously there's an overarching ethos there. Like even when I was growing up, another big influence for me would have been movie soundtracks, weirdly enough. Like I used to just mad for watching things and different films and even TV shows and stuff and scores, and like the difference that a really good score can make to a story is just obscene. Like, so those really grand lifts and those big, symphonic moments, like they are. I don't know. I would love to incorporate some of that into, say, a more contemporary, traditional Irish kind of a sound or something. I think we're barking around that tree to a certain degree.
Okay.
We're trying to play out front once.
I mean, in terms of movie soundtracks and things like that, what are there any particular ones that really had an impact on you?
The Moneyball, a guy called Michael Dyna. It was something, and like that movie is about baseball, like
economics of baseball. In fact,
like it doesn't.
Right.
It has absolutely no right to do like emotionally things where it's the hair stand up in the back of your neck. But I just always
Oh,
watched it a
okay.
few times now. Same with kind of like, I don't know, Hans Zimmer. Obviously, I'm not a complete encyclopedia of kind of, you know, film composers or whatever, score composers. But yeah, I love the idea of it anyway. So I suppose that's seeping into the sound as well. Like, and especially when you're looking at even Irish landscape, Irish culture is that kind of a big scoping thing. There's plenty of room there to play around in that kind of idea. So
I mean, in your head, where do you see that going? Because that's kind of bringing those two worlds together. It'd be quite epic.
yeah, well, we're playing around with epic is probably the word we're looking to hit moving forward and kind of in what we're doing. So yeah, I'm excited now to see where we land with that, playing around with that.
It's quite subconscious. Like, it's like the vision is there, but there's no major. It's like predicting where it's going to go is probably even taking the excitement away from it a small bit. It's like it's like, you know, we have those two things. Let's combine them and let's see. We don't know where it's going to go. Sure, look, figure
That's
it out
the
along the way.
fun part, I suppose.
That is literally, that is, it's magic. So
Okay, I mean, one thing, Eddie, there was a comment in the kind of the press release we got about you said there was a lack of connection with modern pop.
A lack of connection with modern pop.
Yeah, I just kind of
I felt. Yeah,
I just wondered, really, could you kind of elaborate on that and what your thoughts on were on the kind of modern pop scene? Because a lot of the artists, to me, that you've spoken about, especially as influences, are what I would class as mainstream or commercial.
Yeah, to a degree, I suppose. Yeah, like maybe I'm just an old man now, and I can't. You know, am I just angry at those like those kids? Damn her kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, but I do think that there's definitely room for you know, really personal stories to be told, and really the experience that the individual can have, kind of grounded in the life that we're leading. I guess I definitely think that there's room for that in kind of a pop-esque, whatever pop means, I guess.
Yeah,
in that way.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, lyrically, the single you've talked about kind of conflict and greed and things like the new single. Just touching on what you said then and what you said about the Irish landscape. I mean, where do you draw your inspiration from lyrically?
Experiences in growing up, I suppose. The Irish culture.
But again, it's kind of it's a little bit of everything. Like, it's like that. Like, if someone is, like, I love the idea of really old, really archaic stories, like even biblical narrative and stuff.
Right.
And even kind of like almost I don't want to say pagan, but like the earth, say all the different elements and all the different stories going back to like Roman and Greek, and what do those kind of mean, and what are they saying about who we are as a kind of a thing. And like when someone draws an image about in a really kind of archetypal sense, like to me that's just another kind of a, like, it's a mad kind of a feature of language. And as I would hope that we can kind of draw a line between a personal experience and the kind of the greater whole of those, like, really bigger than life ideas, where it's kind of like, you know, you don't really understand, like, it's kind of a ambiguous nature to the lyrics, but it also kind of touches you somewhere, or does something to you, which is kind of weird. So I think that's what great writing, I suppose, does, is speaks on an individual level, but also to the collective, everyone kind of thing.
Okay, I mean, do you look at like Irish history and things like that? Is that something you're kind of interested in?
Yeah, poetry and history in Ireland and stuff, and kind of like culture in Ireland in particular. Like the single coming up was written around kind of my experience with farming and stuff, and like the kind of basically, like, farms can get contentious in terms of who does what, or, you know, all these things can get, and particularly in Ireland, it's very it's not great practice to talk about these things. It's kind of shut up there and kind of get on with it. So, and I'd never heard a song that had kind of dealt with that in the same way. or had dealt with the topic, so I thought it was a cool kind of an angle to take on it.
Yeah.
But there's precedence there for the idea. Like I know John B. Keane, The Field, like that would be a very, very famous play and a movie adaptation from it. So I kind of, that was playing in my head when we were writing it.
Right.
So yeah.
In terms of new material, then what sort of things are you looking at in terms of themes? Is it kind of going to follow the singles?
Yeah, to an extent. We have a couple of releases coming up that are fairly heavily influenced by the whole Irish like aspect of stuff, and particularly country life and bits. Caroline, which is a song that we're playing live, seems to be really connecting with people.
Right. What's that
Yeah,
one about?
it's about maybe 2 or 3 things, but it's that girl, I suppose, if you want to talk about it. Yeah. So, but I was also kind of hopping on the WB Yeats, or sorry, it wasn't actually Yeats, it was Heaney. He has a poem called Digging that we actually did it in school, but it kind of popped into my head while we were in the middle of writing it, and I felt it was kind of fitting to discuss a kind of a wider Irish cultural thing with it.
Sorry, carry on.
No, it's just so basically to answer your question, everything, absolutely everything.
Not actually about anything.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, in terms of, we talked earlier on about the influence of Irish music and culture growing up, and we've also talked about modern pop. Has the kind of change in pop music affected the pop scene in Ireland at all? Has that changed at all, or the music scene at all? Has there been a shift in that away from kind of, I would say Irish influenced into?
Well, it's funny because it's done a couple. It's almost like it's almost coming back on itself. Like we've seen since we started even 12 months ago, there seems to be just a gang of lads who've popped up out of nowhere. The likes of Mary Wallopers, who'd be quite popular here in Ireland now.
Yeah.
John Francis Flynn. Like these lads are completely playing against the grain. Like the Scratch, another one, fantastic gang of lads. So you do have Lemoncello, who else? Ye Vagabonds. Like you do have a little kind of a nexus there, something that seems to be brewing. Even culturally, Ireland on a global stage, I think, with the Banshees of Inisherin and all these little things that are popping up.
Yeah,
it seems to be a moment happening for whatever reason right now. There's a bit of a surge in being Irish is now a bit cool. Paul Mescal and all that. Oh, look at us! Kind of, so we're very happy to be whatever. If people want to say we're kind of part of that little clique, or if the whole Irish music scene is coming forward, we'd love to be part of that. So.
Okay, I mean, looking forward then, obviously we've got the big gigs coming up, but have you got a bucket list of artists? Because like we said early on, you like you said, you keep shifting your ambitions, but you've like we said, you've set them quite high at the moment. Are there any bucket list artists you really want to play with or collaborate with or anything? Who would be on your bucket list?
Oh, that's a great one. Like who's in terms of who's really hot right now, I suppose. Noah Kahan would probably be a big one in terms of the folk thing, kind of bridging across. Like he's just absolute sicko. Like, sorry,
Lizzie McAlpine, maybe.
Yeah, she's just oh my god, like her production, everything about that. Like, I think her guy is Philip Etherington, is her producer. But I've been listening to a couple of their tape notes and stuff, and they're all like this. They're class, the pair of them. Yeah, and then other than that, I like dream artists to work with would be Bon Iver, like, but that's kind of, I suppose, that's been, that's everyone's answer. It's just the man. It's just a complete and utter anomaly, like.
Yeah, but let's face it though. If you're going to talk about that, I mean, Bruce Springsteen, you can't.
Oh my god! Like,
where do you even go? Where do you even go with that? Like, so
I don't even know what to say. Like, it's like.
Like
in Ireland, Bruce Springsteen might as well be the Pope.
That's what I mean. You can't say, "Oh, that's a pipe dream," and then say, "Oh, but we're going to play with Bruce Springsteen." It's just like, you can't even go there. I'm not even going to take that as an answer.
I'm sure the story has changed around here now that it was actually Bruce Springsteen who got rid of all the snakes in Ireland.
St.
Patrick didn't do well.
I did hear that, all right. Yeah.
But I mean, we've talked about the album then, and the gigs coming up and the rest of the year. I mean, beyond that, what are your hopes?
They're pretty idealistic, I think, personally. Anyway, it's like we would love to kind of like I love the idea of looking back, and that was one of the big things when we were first releasing. When we were just about to release the first song, I was thinking about in 50 or 60 years being able to look back, and for my kids and my grandkids or whoever's coming after, to be able to look back and be like, wasn't entirely shite, kind of a thing, you know.
Had some potential.
Yeah. Like I love the idea of building a catalog or building like a little community or something that people can kind of share in and look back in years to come and be like, oh, that was a worthwhile, or we kind of put our stamp on who we were at the time. And so legacy, I guess, kind of being able to do that. I don't.
I mean, have people in kind of back in Ireland, have people's attitudes towards you changed?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal. It's a bit strange, like.
You can see it starting to happen, like slowly. Like people who may not have talked to you too much or come along, like, oh my God, you know, what you're doing is incredible, or fair play, congratulations. The stories of just things coming up, you're like, even like someone I barely knew, I bumped into the other night, and they're like, oh, you're the guy in the band. I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy in the band. Yeah. That's what I'm known as now, apparently. Like locally, I'm the guy in the band. So it's cool. It's surreal. I don't think it'll ever really get normal, or at least not for any time soon. But it is. It's nice to see that potentially we're already starting to create something